Good evening, Bahrain. I'm Bernadette from Gulf Brands International, and you're watching Wine Online Wednesday. This is episode 19, From River to Vine. We're going to Deakin Estate, and we're going all the way to Australia. So what we have here is speedy tasting tonight. We have 5 delicious wines to get through. 3 whites, 2 reds. So what's Deakin Estate? It's a winery down in the southern part of Australia, in Victoria, in an area called Murray-Darling. And this is like the second biggest wine region in Australia for producing wine. For years and years it was considered a very arid part of the land, especially near the famous Murray River. However, Prime Minister Alfred Deakin had done a lot of work in irrigating the land and encouraging agricultural production to the extent that it became the fruit basket of Australia, growing a lot of fruits and vegetables. And that's actually how the name for Deakin Estate came from, in honour of Alfred Deakin. So the premises was founded in 1967 and it was originally producing table grapes. So it had a lot of experience in table grapes and other minor fruits. And then in 1980, it was turned into an actual winery and making wine from the vineyards that they owned in the region. But the Deakin Estate winery, as we know it now, took off in 1994. So they were very lucky to have some pretty well-established vines planted out in the vineyards. So let's get started, and we're going to go first with a nice, what I expect to be a very fresh, crisp Sauvignon Blanc. And we call this River to Vine, what we're doing tonight, because it's the slogan behind the estate. So if you look at the label, you can see that the Murray River is depicted there, and then it turns into the vine, the actual plant with the grapes. It's quite stylistic, and yeah, I think it's rather attractive. So let's see how the wine is. So we're talking a very light pale colour, very transparent around the edges. Let's see what it smells like. Ooh. Oh, tropical fruit, a hint of lemon and lime. Very fresh. Very, I don't know if it's possible to smell crisp, but you're anticipating that it should taste crisp. I know that sounds a little bit weird. Let's see how it is. The flavours come through. Definitely some tropical fruit. Not so much greenery like you'd find with Sauvignon Blancs from other areas, and a hint of lime and a very, very small hint of gooseberry, which is quite a tart, green, hairy fruit. It's the best way to describe it. It's not something that you'd want to eat by itself as a fruit, but that brings the notes through. Now, Sauvignon Blanc, in the Southern Hemisphere, the most famous place for it is New Zealand, where it delivers a very particular style of Sauvignon Blanc, quite a pungent, almost aggressive, very greeny style. And this one is just a little bit more mellow, but very vibrant. I think we should ask an expert. How does this compare to New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc?
I think New Zealand Sauv Blancs are absolutely delicious. I think Australia manages to have slightly riper kind of characters in their Sauvignon Blanc, and perhaps it's a faddish thing with wine. We have crazies, you know, for 5 or 10 years, which people love. So I think maybe the customers are now looking for something a bit different with their Sauvignon Blanc. They've all been exposed to New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc for a long time, and now they're deciding what else can it offer. And I think Australian Sauvignon Blanc is really shining through.
Now that's an expert talking. That's Aidan, who is the winemaker for these wines. So he's very proud of his Sauvignon Blanc, and as you can see, he's prepared to fight off the New Zealanders. So that was a very nice little vibrant Sauvignon Blanc to start. And now we'll move to Australia's favourite white grape, Chardonnay. So here we go, let's have a look. Oh, the colour is, now we're getting to a deeper colour. If you compare them side to side, we're getting a little bit more golden yellow. Yeah, and again, very clean, very, very sparkly. Oh, lovely round fruits, white peaches. There's some pears. Let's have a look how it tastes. Oh, it's lovely. It's fresh. Fresh fruit. Peach. Yeah, definitely peach. And a hint of citrus and juicy pears. And, you know, there's a little bit of vanilla coming through. And that's because this wine, complete contrast to the Sauvignon Blanc, has a little bit of oak, just a little bit of oak. So what they do with the Chardonnay fruit is they harvest in parcels because they know which parcel is going to give a certain style to the Chardonnay. Vinify them separately, and then they choose a small quantity that they oak age for a short time, and then put it into the blend of parcels. It's so discreet, you'll hardly pick it up. Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, very rounded. Fresh peaches and little hint of vanilla. That's fabulous. Third white wine, Viognier. Now this is not native to Australia. The Viognier originally dates from Roman times and was said to have been carried by the Romans back from Persia to the south of France by one of the knights who, after all his marauding and marauding and robbing and pillaging along the way, regretted what he had done. He brought the vine cuttings back, planted them in the Rhone, and he became a hermit and lived in a cave. And the story goes that in the town of Hermitage, which is now very famous for wine in the southern Rhone, they will quite happily show you the cave where our friend the Roman who brought back Viognier lived. But I think that's a bit of a tall story. I think, in fact, it is related to Shiraz, and it came in 1800s or so. It appeared in France. It thrived in France. It loved the climate, very happy there. And it got to the 1960s and Viognier was almost heading for extinction until it showed up in Australia, where it found, and especially where we are in the Deakin, on the banks of the Murray River, you've got hot days, dry weather, it doesn't like wet weather, cooler evening temperatures, and it has absolutely thrived. Now, it's a grape that is a little bit tricky to deal with. It needs to ripen to discover its aromatics. This is an aromatic grape of aromatic and luscious flavours. If you pick it too early, it'll be too lean. If you pick it too late, it'll be too fat and flabby and it'll have lost its acidity. So in Deakin Estate, I think Aidan is doing a fabulous job with getting the right balance. So now our colour is getting ever so slightly darker than the Chardonnay, just a hint of a tint. And where are we on the nose? Oh, peaches again, white peaches, a hint of lemon, and some honeysuckle flowers. Oh. A long finish. You can still taste it. Beautiful fruit. It's really stretching out. I'm still tasting it now. It's going on and on and on. Oh, this is a wine to just sip and enjoy. The fruit is, oh, it's got layers. It's not sweet fruit, but you just have a beautiful sense of, oh, it's voluptuous, I think is the way to describe it. And you come back on the nose, definitely some little honeysuckle flowers and some peaches coming through there. Oh, that is lovely. That's gorgeous. So 3 whites. Let's move on to the reds. Merlot. Now, Merlot isn't so popular in Australia. Poor Merlot. Obviously it originated from Bordeaux, like its good friend over here, Cabernet. It probably hit Australia around the 1960s, but the funny thing was that the best Merlot that arrived in Australia came from California, not from Bordeaux. One of the big advocates for Merlot in Australia is Jim Irvine, quite a well-known winemaker, who actually has done some amazing work at Petaluma, which is a beautiful winery for fantastic Coonawarra Cabernet. And he's rather fond of Merlot, and he just says, don't let its feet get wet. It has to have dry soil. So exactly on the bank of the Murray River, the soil is very, very well drained, so it's happy there. So let's see how it is. We've got a nice red, purpley pinky red, not very deep, and very pale edges. Ooh, juicy. It's just fruit, lots of red fruit, and juicy. Oh, I think we have to get in to taste this. Plums, ripe plums, forest fruits, blueberries, and coming in at the back, there's a little touch of like a mocha, almost a chocolate coffee, little hint. And I think that's coming from, it's had 3 months in oak, this wine, which is just enough to give it that little bit of structure, give it that little bit of depth. So I think that, oh yeah, that goes down very well. It's just signature. It's a mellow Merlot and really smooth. Some Merlots can be a little rough around the edges. This is just very smooth. Yes. So we need to see how Cabernet compares to that. So our Cabernet here. Cabernet, it's the one, I think, most popular red grape in Australia. They've made it their own. So Cabernet, you can get fantastic, very complex styles from the Coonawarra, the spiritual home of Cabernet. But let's see what's happening here on the Murray River. Okay, we've got very similar fruits up on the nose up front. We've got plums, but we've got a little hint of tartness, while here there was softer fruit. Here it's a little bit more like black currants, you know, that little tiny little bite in it. Okay, I think I'm picking up more vanilla, little vanilla in the background here. Let's see how it tastes. Red fruits. On the nose they're a bit more aggressive. On the palate they're softer. It's got a bit more depth and a bit more fruitiness than the Merlot. Probably because this has had, I think, just up to 6 months in oak, and parcels selected to go into French oak and American oak, which all add a little bit more nuance to the wine. Yeah, there's more depth going on here, definitely. Well, I think probably this is the big daddy of the range compared to Merlot. So it was a very quick skate through the range. What we say with Deakin Estate, they're doing some pretty amazing work, and apart from someone like Aidan, the winemaker, who's really up for a lot of really focused on developing how good the fruit is and his winemaking technique. It's a sustainable vineyard. They do a lot of work on that. And even their wine bottles used to be about half a kilo each. They're now getting it down to about 350 grams. Lighter glass, slimmer line bottles, smaller boxes. You save on costs. They're also an equal opportunities employer. So, for example, Skippy is well known around the vineyard. And actually the kangaroos do roam around. They don't eat the grapes, but the foxes eat the irrigation pipes. So there's a lot of wildlife going on in the vineyard, which they really enjoy having this interaction. The only problem is that when they've got visitors, they have to tell them, watch out for the snakes. Apart from this one, the river snaking around. So it's hard to decide which would you choose out of these 5? And I think, again, I'm going to ask Aidan. He knows these wines intimately. What's his favourite wine?
The favourite one for me is probably the Viognier. It's a bit more interesting from a winemaking point of view, in terms of you can play with a bit of oak, you can encourage some more voluptuous characters to come out in the wines. It's a slightly fuller, richer style there. So from a winemaking point of view, it's a bit more involved and a bit more fun.
A bit of fun. Yes, Aidan, you really do enjoy your work. So Aidan has gone for the Viognier. So I'm looking at my lineup here, and I think, we're in Australia, and Australians don't take themselves seriously. So if I look at this, I can see we've got a vibrant Sauvignon Blanc. I think this is a bit of Kylie here, a bit of Kylie Minogue, yeah, a lot of fun, vibrant. We've got a very balanced Chardonnay, which actually does have to be taken a bit seriously. So I think that's Kate Blanchett, beautiful, well-balanced actress. Viognier here, luscious, sensual. I think this is Nicole Kidman. Yeah. What about the 2 on the end here? Well, I think our mellow Merlot here is a bit of a Hugh Jackman. You know, he's calmed down over the years. And the Cabernet here, there's a lot more to come from this. I think this is Chris Hemsworth. So I think I'm going to enjoy a glass of wine with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman. There you are. Australian wine, Deakin Estate.